Hello and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm making another fantasy light box. So I started off this project with very high spirits since my previous Radiance light box turned out so well and I was really excited for my next cool project. My dad had bought this super pretty amethyst geode and I immediately was super inspired and I had my idea. So I got started sketching out my idea, which is a crystal cave with a miner walking across a rope bridge in the foreground, and unfortunately he woke up a crystal monster who will be in the background ready to kill anyone who tries to mine his crystals, and the poor miner just so happened to be the one to wake up the monster, so poor him. For the monster, I took inspiration from Norwegian trolls and I thought it would look super cool, so I did more sketching to figure out the layout and the pose of the monster. I wasn't too worried about the fine details at this stage, so the sketch is pretty rough. Once I had the general idea, I started on the background layers. I thought it would be the best to just cut the rough shape of the cave and the rocks out, and then add the crystals later, so that's what I did. I also had this idea of making the bridge three-dimensional to add extra epicness and interest, so I cut out the two side, like the railing parts of the bridge, out on the layers, and then I'm going to leave the connecting planks for later. Once I finished the base layers, I got started on the crystals that lined the walls of the cave. I got out the thinner paper that I used to shade my Radiance light box, and I cut out all the crystals from that paper. My original plan was to cut half the crystal out on thinner paper and the other on the tracing paper and then glue them together, but after testing it out, I didn't like it at all, so I opted for this new idea where I cut the whole crystal shape out of the thin paper and glue it onto the tracing paper and then cut around leaving a slight overhang so it looks like it's glowing, and I like that a lot better. And now I move on to the beast, which ends up being the downfall of this whole entire light box. Like I mentioned before, the inspiration was trolls, which typically have a big nose and are very hairy, and they're like grimy and dirty and long nails and big teeth and just very ugly. I started by sketching out the pose and figuring out the overall look of the monster. I thought it would be super cool to have the troll reach forward onto one of the closer layers to add another 3D element. Then I went in to try to refine the face and the body to finalize it, but I really didn't like any of the faces I drew, and as you can see, I'm not the best artist, so this was quite a struggle, and I ended up just hating it so much. So I asked my dad for a couple pointers because he's a better artist than me, and he suggested trying to draw it from the side because the nose is a pretty prominent part of the troll. So I tried it and I made him very skinny because the troll lives in this crystal cave where there's little food, so he's pretty malnourished. I also wanted it to look very creepy, so I added like spiky teeth and glowing eyes and a big hunchback and big claws and just all these elements. And this is where things started going even more downhill. I made the mistake of trying to make it better and better, and it reached the point where the more I tried to fix it, the worse it looked, and I just kept hating it more and more and more, and I just wanted to give up on this whole light box. However, the last time I felt like giving up on a light box, I pushed through the rough phase and I liked it, so I thought that's what would happen here, but unfortunately, that did not happen here and it just turned out bad. So in my despair, I took a break, and when I came back, I decided to go back to my original idea of the troll facing forward, but yet again, it, I just didn't go well, and I was just so incredibly discouraged at this point that I kind of just gave up and went the easy route, which is a giant crystal-shaped monster. I tried keeping some of the same elements from the previous designs, like the skinny frame, and once I planned and cut out the shape I wanted also to add the same glowy effect as the crystals, since he is made of crystal, so, he would glow like the crystals, and I just did that by adding tracing paper behind the monster as well. And then before I add the rest of the details, I assemble all the layers together so that I can better visualize the whole thing and add the three-dimensional part. When I put the monster in its spot, I made his arm come forward in front of the bridge because I still wanted that 3D element with him, even if it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. The three-dimensional bridge is the only part of this light box that I really like. I think it turned out pretty cool, the whole idea with the planks going across, and I just really liked it, and it turned out really good. I just cut out the planks like different shapes and sizes on paper and with a little tab on it so I could fold it and glue it in place. And then I quickly cut out the miner and the donkey, which look pretty lame, and it wasn't working for me, and I just wanted to finish, so I rushed them. And I'm not very proud of it, but it is what it is, and I just wanted it done. So I just glued them in place on the bridge, and that's all for this light box. So yeah, that was it. I definitely think this is my worst light box ever, and I'm pretty disappointed in it, but I'm just glad I'm over it and I can move on to better projects, hopefully. And yeah, with the light it looks okay, but still not super great or detailed or anything. So yeah, just let me know what you think. But yeah, that was all, so thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!